Hello, everybody. Welcome to Planet SkyFF, the world where everything revolves around £50,000. My name's Suj.
And my name is James.
My computer's just starting up, James, but we're going to get straight into it. The long match week is now over.
Yes.
Jordan Beyer, what a legend. Jordan Beyer.
Can I be honest with you? Yeah. I think that's the biggest shock of the week.
What, that he didn't return?
It's not that he didn't return.
33 passes.
26.
Oh, was it 26? I think
26 passes for Beyer, 21 for Alderkill.
Is that more surprising than the Chelsea passing numbers with Thiago Silva and Colwill? Because they hit very low numbers as well.
Silva's only 42. I think it might have been the least amount of possession Chelsea have had in the game
exactly.
so far.
In a 2-0 win as well.
Yeah, but then you win in, so there's less onus on you. It's interesting if you look at people like Fernandes and Casado have actually completed more passes than Silva. So obviously movement into midfield and perhaps pressure, not forcing them backwards, probably played a little bit of a role here as well. Fair
play. Well, look, the week is over. A little bit of a review for us. I got 71 points, James, which is meh, but it is green arrow, if you would, in FPL terminology. But it was a roller coaster of a weekend. Wasn't great on Saturday, but I started the week at 9k and I'm now at 8k. So, I mean, can't complain. I did use one transfer, but it was a perfectly acceptable and valid transfer because Miss Jackson was suspended, wasn't he? So I had to get rid of him. It meant the move to Heung-Min Son to get him ready for the single game days for Spurs was just too easy a move to make. I got him in, didn't captain him, which with Haaland, who's going to... Yeah. But yeah, ended up with so Alisson in goal. He got me 4 points. Yep. He's the little save tier, tick along guy. He's not been explosive, but I don't think many keepers have. So I feel like jumping off Alisson at the moment, if I don't need to, isn't necessary at all.
You're not going to now with the fixture swing
exactly.
as well.
Yeah. Ruben Diaz was just the 2 points. I don't know. Against Wolves, we thought there might be more there. Saliba 7 points was handy. Jordan Beyer, captain, was just the 4. So when I got him in, he was like a little tease, wasn't he? Because he started with his passing tier in his first 2 games, and you're like, this guy is awesome. And then the last 2 games, nothing.
I'd love to give more explanation of what I'd not.
But
I only
watched
against
was it Man United and the previous game?
It's like 100 against Man United.
They were not even like low numbers. They were ridiculously high numbers. Like I felt like it was a masterstroke.
Not only that,
he's going to be a great
the numbers
captain.
Against Luton had been off the chart as well. So like I've literally only seen the 15 minutes or so that Sky showed last night, so I can't give you reasonable answers as to why that happened last night, other than I think probably got a lot more of what we saw from Luton at the back end of last season in terms of really high press that probably forced Burnley to push out much further, whereas United had a structural, we're going to stop the ball being played into midfield against Burnley. I think Luton actually looked like they went for them off the ball. So that may be a reason why. If you actually look at the kickoff last night, Colton Morris nearly scores after like 5 seconds, blocking a clearance from Trafford. Like they go hell for leather on the press. That's the only thing I can think without having seen the game and full info. Like you would have accepted him missing if Beyer and Alderkill had been on 40, 50. Okay, fine, fair enough. But 26 and 21, when these guys were posting like 4 or 5 times that against Manchester United, I don't know the answer yet, I'm afraid to say.
Well, Colwill did return with an assist and a clean sheet. So he was my captain on Monday, 20 points from him, which was tidy. My midfield is a mixed bag, James. Your Spurs boys doing me well. Bissouma with a nice 6-pointer. He needs to stop getting yellow cards, but other than that, it was 2 different tiering points.
Just on Bissouma, I'll reference what I said on Monday. Obviously, he's
on 3 now, right?
He's on 4, I think. I want to say. I'm sure he's on 4 yellows, Bissouma. We had a conversation on Monday's podcast about would Bissouma getting booked this weekend arguably be the best thing, considering upcoming fixtures for Tottenham. Like, I don't know, getting booked against Luton and missing Fulham at home might be the best of the evils.
He's on 4 yellow cards, James.
So,
but 6 points from Bissouma. He's been ticking along nicely.
Yeah.
And Heung-Min Son obviously picking up an 11-pointer with the goal.
It would probably the reason I mention that is obviously after Luton, Tottenham got the 2 single game days against. and I'm sure people are probably thinking to get a Maddison, a Son, or even a Vicario or Romero, for example, so probably aren't looking at Bissouma for captaincy. But because it's the 2 single game days together, you wouldn't, if he got butch, you're not really gaining anything by selling him, basically, almost. So it would probably be for those who've got, just hold. I'd rather get it out of the way. I'd rather get it out of the way and he missed Fulham at home than say he went another 2-3 games and then missed, say, Chelsea at home or Villa at home or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Almost
sure.
like just get it out of the way, maybe.
Brian Mbomo, nothing in the Forest Brentford game, but then nor did many or any of the others that were highly owned. So I got away with one there in terms of Awani and stuff. No one hurt. Mo Salah picked me up an assist. Oh, hang on. No, he didn't. Hello, VAR. Mo Salah just picked me up a 1 pointer.
I've done my sorries elsewhere.
Well, hang on a second. What about the audio that's been released? That's a conversation in itself.
Yeah, Patreon today, mate, not now.
Lovely jubbly. 1 pointer from Salah. Doesn't matter. And then Alvarez with the goal.
Got right hissy fit for his booking.
Alvarez returned with the goal, and Haaland captaincy is largely irrelevant, isn't it, really, whether everybody owns the guy. So 71 points is all right. I feel like better set now. I've got a few problems that I can fix. Problems, I say, like Mbomo, I can finally start thinking about coming off him now.
You sure you had a green this week with that?
Yeah, I was 9k last week.
And you are now?
8k.
Okay, I guess that Colwell captaincy is probably...
That was the biggest jump. I was, before Chelsea, before Colwell's 20 points, I was 13k.
Yeah.
Colwell was a 5k jump in rank. I know we shouldn't really talk much about rank because it's
Still
not the most relevant, but it does feel trudging through mud at the moment a little bit.
There's a number of things that would have hit this week and on Saturday, I think, for many people, and I can only speak from my own experience, so like no Villa, so Ollie Watkins, for those who've got, I mean, bloody hell. No Saka, Arsenal clean sheet, for example. Newcastle again, clean sheet, like Trippier, assist, passing tier and tackles. Bloody hell. Again, so there was a few that would have hurt elsewhere. I also haven't got Son. So Saturday felt like it took a bit of a slapping. But to be honest, same. I kind of ended the week where I was, partly because of my double Chelsea clean sheet, basically.
And you got Nick
Monday
Pope in
night.
goal.
Nick Pope in goal, yeah.
How many points is that then?
I got 71 this week as well.
Same, snap that.
Yeah.
Same. Me and James the same.
Did you make a transfer though?
Nicholas Jackson.
Okay, so we're level because I also made a transfer. So yeah, Nick Pope 9 for me on Saturday. I'd captain Haaland, Alvarez's goal, 12 from Bissouma and Maddison. Maddison was obviously in the passing, which won't happen too often, and also hit shots here as well. So it's nice to get the doubles from Tyrion's in essentially what's a blank there for James Maddison otherwise, because you're looking for the actual physical returns attacking wise, really. Other than that, not a lot for me. I'd obviously captain Haaland Saturday, Aaron Yee I had in place for Sunday. Monday, as said, I captained Thiago Silva, who has had his tackle tier added this morning. We also would have had a really, really nice intro, Suj, if Marvellous Nakamaba hadn't had his tackle tier added as well, because you literally called it on the podcast a couple of weeks ago where you went, yeah, now everyone's selling him. Watch him do really well in every game now until when you need him to on the captaincy day, but he did get a tackle tier added as well. I bought Jordan Beyer last night, and it was very much a dilemma for me. I think this will surprise. It was very much a dilemma between whether I sold Awoniyi or Colwell. And I'd come to the conclusion over the weekend, having watched the Forest game, and even before the Chelsea game, that I would probably sell Awoniyi. A little bit of a threat of his place in the team, arguably, with the likes of Origi, Wood in the background. Questionable that Morgan Gibbs-White was left out at the weekend, but I think he'll be back in this weekend. That may also help him. So I was just looking at it and going, you're looking through Awoniyi's numbers, and although we sat here a couple of weeks ago and was like, when it comes back round, those 2 single game days, he's the one, and actually probably was the one, despite the fact there's not been anything in it. But you got nothing else with him. There's no shot tiers or anything. You almost openly scores with 1 shot on target. It's worth saying did have a goal disallowed for a very marginal offside in the first half of the game. But I decided Awoniyi, and then after the Chelsea game last night, it wasn't that I had second thoughts about it, but yesterday I sat down yesterday afternoon and started looking at a few different ideas in terms of just checking in on future moves. I had a little play around with looking at trying to put Saka in make sure I could go like...
Definitely did that before the Arsenal game.
What's that?
Saka, looking at putting Saka in. You definitely did that before the Arsenal Lens game.
Yes, I did do it.
Because you're not looking at that now. Well, we don't know, but you're probably not looking at that.
Listen, if he's got limbs attached, don't be surprised if he still rocks up on Sunday, guys. Yeah. And Arteta's not going to give you nothing in terms of information, I don't think. Other than he said last night, he said it doesn't look good. But yes, I just had a look at a few different things. I had a look at, how it would be if I wanted to bring Saka in, because I think ideally for me, it probably would be this Sunday. I had a look at adding Son to Maddison and Bissouma. I wanted to double check some different paths in terms of getting Ollie Watkins rather than Moussa Diaby, because I think a lot of us have been thinking Diaby's just a good one to stick in there, but yeah, I think I'd rather pay the little extra for Watkins would be ideal. So I just had a little look round and various different little transfer moves. And a few things I played with, I just found myself a little bit short, Suj, of a few different ideas. It's not even to say I'd definitely do it, but I found myself a little bit short of, I needed a little bit more money in case I wanted to make a couple of different moves. So I sold Dunk with reluctance, because I know that I want him back. I know that I want him back as quickly as Sunday the 29th when Brighton play Fulham. It's 29th of this month, obviously. So miss Liverpool, Man City. As we saw at the weekend, minuses might not be impossible. He probably will still hit passing tier, even in both of those fixtures, by the way. Every chance. But it was more a case of, like I said, that him at the higher value than Awoniyi and Colwell was just going to allow me a few different things to be able to happen. And that's why I took him out. So Dunk at the moment is not part of the squad. There's a plan to get him back in on Sunday the 29th. And that'll probably be from Thiago Silva for me. I made a judgment call that I was happier to keep Silva primarily as alternative captaincy for this weekend, although I can't see me using it. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if he still hits passing tier against Arsenal. And it's also another alternative for Saturday the 28th if there's a reason that I can't get to Arsenal for whatever reason. Chelsea host Brentford in the early kickoff. So Dunk's out for now, Suj.
That's understandable. I made that move a few weeks ago, and it feels awkward. It's like when you had to sell Rodri, right? I mean, Rodri made our lives easier with the red card, but selling a Dunk or a Rodri, it's emotionally quite strange. But when you've got a plan to get him back, as I have as well, which is same as you, which is the Fulham game, then so be it. Even Rodri, I need to figure out when I'm going to go back to him as well. So. Yeah, I think that's perfectly viable, mate. I think it's perfectly viable. Are you planning any transfers this weekend?
I'm not sure yet.
Well, you talked about Saka and that, but
I don't think it would be Saka. It'd possibly more be Saliba. But I need to have a real think about if this is just something to come back to. There's a couple of things that's obviously got a real consciousness at the moment. One is potential additional Newcastle, because it is burning, but I don't think I'm going to go down that route. Another one's Ollie Watkins, because obviously you could enter the Wolves game this week. I do think for the majority of people, it will be more sensible to wait till after the international break and just get him on the day. But I can't help but looking at certain things, Suj, like, for example, Levi Colwell after this week, Burnley away, and then I can have Watkins at Wolves rather than Colwell at home to Arsenal. And I start looking at that and going, should I just be going the one early here?
Yep.
So that might be a route I go down. Conscious, I think, of more William Saliba is probably more the point for me rather than Saka. I think Manchester City this week, we've spoken about centre-backs not being a million miles off from passing tiers against them in several games over the last year or so. I wouldn't be shocked. It doesn't feel ideal. I think the ideal to entry for Arsenal is off Tottenham after obviously the Friday 27th, but there's a consciousness of Tottenham having the Monday night game against Chelsea is then their next game. Now everybody else in between, bar obviously Crystal Palace and Chelsea themselves, obviously plays twice. So that sure, I could go Maddison to Saliba and then come back for Maddison, but then that doesn't feel right when you look at the Arsenal fixtures afterwards and there's not another good entry point particularly. Subject to obviously what the TV announcements are going to be, but I don't think there will be. So there's several consciousnesses. I think Saliba's a consciousness for this week. Watkins is a consciousness for this week. I think Saliba's probably the right move for me to get it in, but it doesn't feel right going to buy for Manchester City at home. Hence, I'm possibly looking at adding Sonny on Monday the 23rd. I spoke about this already, adding him to Maddison and Bissouma. So it might even be that I keep my powder dry a little bit here and use Colwell / Awoniyi into obviously Watkins. I'm looking at Diaz into Son for the same price potentially on that Monday the 23rd. Then I need to work out the Arsenal bit. And once I've left that kind of Awoniyi to the Arsenal bit, it's that bit. It's like it probably should be Colwell to Saliba now. Awoniyi to Watkins, Diaz to Son. Then after that, Son plus one more back to Rodri and Dunk. That's the sort of thing I'm chaining. Like I said, that was part of the idea of moving around with Lewis Dunk. It might sound silly, but I needed to put more money in the bank.
Understood.
For basically Saliba and Watkins.
I'm looking, I want to add Villa on Sunday, and I want to add Newcastle on Sunday. Similar thoughts to you. Mbomo can go. No need for him after the game on Saturday, so he's a good exit point. And also Levi Colwill can go after Saturday as well. So Colwill and Mbomo, the two that I will lose. I'd rather buy Watkins than Diaby, but if I buy Diaby, it allows me to buy Trippier. So I'm not sure whether I want to go with like a cheaper Newcastle defender.
Say sell Diaby?
No. If I buy Diaby from Mbomo, then I have enough money to get Trippier. If I buy Watkins for Mbomo, I don't have enough money for Trippier. So then I have to go cheaper Newcastle defender. And I don't think I want to. I think I'd rather just get Trippier. And I think Diaby's just as likely to be able to return big in any given game. I'd rather own Watkins. Let's not lie about it. But if it's going to be Diaby and Trippier, or let's say Cher and Watkins, what would you go with?
I'm not convinced on Trippier for this. When you look at the points through the season, and I realise they obviously had a tough start, but I look at things like him not picking up a passing tier in the Sheffield United game, the 8-0, I'm thinking, you really are relying way more on the attacking returns. And I just think there's, I know you've got Saliba in place, for example, Suj, but if that was like a comparison right now, I'd still think rather go Saliba for a longer term than Trips. Now, your case is a little bit different because you haven't got any Newcastle defence. We've spoken about the possibility of an awareness of maybe even the Everton fixture on Tuesday the 5th of December, and there being maybe this weekend, maybe even being the last entry point, for example. I'm just not convinced about Trips for this. I'm not sure. And you won't move Alisson, right?
I don't need to. I feel like it's Alisson to Pope is not a sensible.
No, and it's fine, and I wouldn't bother. So for me, with Pope in place, I mentioned this when I obviously got him last week, was saying, right, that's my keeper now, till overhaul, and being a consciousness. By the way, I was looking at things yesterday thinking, I wish I hadn't bought fucking Nick Pope, by the way. More money if I'd gone for like an Areola or something. Exactly. Yeah. I was thinking, no, don't look at that again, James. That's what you decided. That's the path you're going to take. Fine. Keep him down. I think that will play longer term. So I get for you, Trips is more of an interest. And I think the majority of people listening and watching be thinking, oh, well, actually, James, I want Trips. It's fine. I don't know how sustainable those points are. If you look at his tackles and his passes and that, I don't know how often it's going to be there. I mean, his assists at the weekend's come from a tackle. So I don't know if he got tackle tier and assists as part of that same action. Like, it is what it is. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced for this. It's just so much history tells me, stop pissing about with the fullbacks here. Get yourself what you know, your Silvers, your Dunks, your Salibas, your Diazes, your Christian Romeros. Get yourself what you know in terms of your passing tiers and stuff. And there's a caveat to that. But I also get, if you didn't have where you'd want to go there. What price is Cher, Suj?
He's 8.5.
It's not enough of a saving.
8.7.
Is he? And what, Trips 9.1? Yeah, on
Burn
that.
is 8.5.
On that, I'd go Trips. No point going down Burn.
Fancy a bit of Big Tasty, 6.6?
No, definitely not, mate.
No, I mean, Botman's not going to be a long term, so it's not worth going down the Big Tasty route, and I don't think people need to, really.
Press Anthony Gordon.
Anthony Gordon as a midfielder, James, is 7.8.
Yeah, I don't think that's worth more than Bissouma, to be totally honest. No, in your case, I'd buy trips, I think.
Yeah, do you know what? If I left trips and just went straight to Watkins and left Colwill, then it gives me the exact money to go to Dunk instead. Like
What
when
have you
Dunk
got Tottenham?
is ready.
What are you planning to do for these Tottenham Monday, Friday games?
And I'll tell you what, I'm also planning to do the same thing for the Luton game. Is Captain Heung-Min Son, mate?
Is he just staying for you?
Until the end of your single game days, for sure. There's no way I would sell him before the single game days.
Do you know what I was just wondering for you might be better? Because I can't help you thinking about saying Mbumo to Diaby, right?
No, and Mbumo to Watkins would
Mbumo
give
to
me enough
Watkins.
money for Colwill to Dunk. And
further down the line.
And skip Newcastle. Defensive.
Yeah, but you're not going to go back into Dunk this Sunday.
No. I'll just leave it be. I'll just not waste the transfer to go into a trips.
Okay. I'm just looking at, you could obviously come off Tottenham to Newcastle on Saturday the 28th. Rather than, because I'm thinking about you selling Mbumo, and I get that, right? But say like where I said, if I hold Colwill one more, it's like it's Arsenal at home. The one more from Mbumo's Burnley at home, right? So that kind of feels like less of a wanting to push, if you will.
Yep.
If you kind of have in your mind and rejig it where you're going from, say, Son to Trippier when Newcastle go to Wolves, I realise you're missing that Crystal Palace fixture, but you wouldn't captain him on that day. I'm fairly certain anyway. With Liverpool, you got Salah, haven't you?
I have
Liverpool,
indeed.
Liverpool at home to Everton, City at home to Brighton. You wouldn't be captain Trippier against Crystal Palace. You could do it that way. Like I said, though, the consciousness with that is coming back for Tottenham again the following Monday against Chelsea on Monday the 6th. Now, who knows, you might feel differently and you want to go Chelsea, but realistically, looking at Chelsea afterwards, playing City at home, Newcastle away, Brighton at home, Manchester United away at the fixtures afterwards, it's still Tottenham.
Correct.
Monday the 6th because of the fixtures before and afterwards. And I know Tottenham have City a few weeks afterwards, but right up to overhaul. The thing for me is, in terms of wanting to get the Son, is Suj, I know that I think if he's going to be fit, and it's worth saying, by the way, didn't train yesterday, is a consciousness. We think he's going to be okay for the weekend, but he's playing with an ongoing groin problem. He didn't train yesterday, and we think that's just being managed to make sure that he's fine for the weekend and stuff. And that's what Tottenham have been doing with him, is kind of easing his training burden, making sure he's okay for the weekend. It's going to need to get looked at some point, no? But my consciousness is, in terms of Son, is I truly believe that if he's going to stay through the middle, that's a better call than Maddison in this. Because I think he's capable of being the second highest scorer in the league under that circumstance, and someone you could regularly look at as a possible captaincy option. So for me, it's like get him in for that period and then come off Maddison after that period and leave Son in. That's the hence of those little bits of needing that little bit more money to manufacture that situation that then comes off of Maddison. And obviously he's at a similar price to Rodri. So I would want Son.
That's a segue into captaincy for this weekend, James.
Yeah, Son Saturday.
You don't own him, mate.
No, I know. And
Guess who I'm captaining?
It's regrettable.
Sonny.
It's regrettable.
Who are you going with then?
I'll be going with Madders.
Right.
I'll be going with Madders, which is fine, right? Because we've spoken lots about Maddison's record in away games and stuff. He's also got a little bit of an issue in terms of the kind of the recovery from the tackle in the Arsenal game.
But we'll know the team.
But I also know that James Maddison did train yesterday. I also know that. So the Madders is fine for the weekend. So Maddison away to Luton's fine. And I think the real clincher as well is that there will obviously be concern for the weekend about low block Luton. If you haven't seen Lyle Foster's goal last night, and this is what leads me to think Luton went into really hard press, Burnley broke their lines with two straight vertical passes, where it's into midfield, into Berg, which comfortably could be Maddison, and your distribution's even better, and then feed in Son, where Luton have actually got a high line. And if you get him into that scenario, like Foster's goal last night, he's a killer. So, yeah, I think Son's the best captaincy for Saturday. I think those that might have looked like alternatives, like Manchester United against Brentford, you feel a bit cold about.
Yep.
Chelsea at Burnley's okay, like for silvers and stuff like that, but I think Parsons would be questionable, to be totally honest. I could see that game being similar to the Fulham game, in all honesty. So I think silver's a more than adequate backup, but I think, yeah, it's Son and Maddison would be the preference this weekend. I'd definitely go silver over the likes of Bissouma, especially when I know Bissouma's getting booked.
Sunday, I mean, I'm going to do the ownership play and just go with Haaland against Arsenal. I know it's a difficult one to call because it's a tough game. It's going to be a very tough game for Arsenal, but and our own Watkins as well. And I think the West Ham fixture for not the West Ham fixture. What am I talking about?
Who?
Aston Villa.
Oh, Wolves away.
Wolves away. I'll know the team. So Diaby's flagged right now, but I'll know the team. So if I end up with Diaby or Watkins, I would consider them. But I think I'm going to just go with the EO player, mate, and go with Erling Haaland.
I think this is a rare one. I'm probably going to take it on, and I might well bottle that. I'll be very honest. The judgment call for me will be on the Brighton team. That'll be the killer key decision for me, the Brighton team. And I think if it's the same midfield that played against Villa, then I'm going Mo Salah. If Gross is back in, I might just go to safe play. I think that's the real key one. How does that relate? It just relates to the whole football match and Brighton's capability in it to have the experience and the know-how of Pascal Gross in midfield, rather than two boys who I think will get overwhelmed by Liverpool's midfield in Hinshelwood and Gilmour if they have to play again. They're both good footballers, but I think they get overwhelmed by Liverpool's midfield if they have to play again. So it's that's probably a key decision for me. Salah, you can look at Salah one-on-one duels like Udogie. That duel wouldn't have stopped him returning at the weekend. Similarly, the Estupiñán duel won't stop him returning necessarily. Liverpool may well even moving him into a central forwards position is not completely unfeasible. Although I imagine Darwin Núñez will play, subject to his own fitness. But if Núñez was out, you probably got Salah through the middle. That would also be a definite tick box. Yep, Mo Salah play. Brighton have a big problem against any forwards of the speed of the likes of Núñez, Salah, as seen with Ollie Watkins last week. So the intention for me would be to go Mo on Sunday as it stands. But that's very much subject to the team lineups.
Subject to 1 p.m.
And any doubt, any doubt, it's just don't overthink it and just go back to Haaland.
Correct.
That would be my take.
Do you want to tell us about tier points, James?
Yeah, we'll go through some
fun
bits
and games
from
the weekend games.
Yeah. Some interesting ones, some high tackle numbers in that Villa Brighton game. 6 for Cash, 5 for McGinn, 4 for Kamara, who's ticking over, 6 for Veltman, 4 for Solly March. Ollie Watkins, 4 shots on target, 2 for Moussa Diaby, 82 passes for Lewis Dunk. Adam Webster had a difficult afternoon, or so did Dunk in fairness. 62 only for Webster. Billy Gilmour was 69. Gabriel was the only Arsenal player to hit passing tier at Bournemouth at the weekend, 60. Justin, William Saliba, only on 45, Zinchenko 56. It was tackle tier for Zinchenko, White, Kai Havertz and a returning Declan Rice. Bukayo Saka on one leg, shot tier and a goal, and 2 passed on penalties. Emil Smith-Rowe hit a shot tier as a substitute as well. Amadou Onana, 71 passes in midfield for Everton against Luton. Yep, you won't see that ever again, I don't imagine. But then this kind of relates back to the point. James Tarkowski, 55 passes against Luton. Mikalenko, 55. Branthwaite, 45. Mikalenko actually won 8 tackles in the game as well. Dominic Calvert-Lewin hit shots here. The Marvellous Nakamaba, tackle tier at the weekend. Obviously got it last night as well. Issa Kabori also hit tackle tier. In the Manchester United Crystal Palace game, tackle tiers for Ward, Doucouré and Ayew. Doucouré's was tier 2. Rasmus Højlund shot tier, and obviously got a couple of goals for United in a dismal defeat to Galatasaray in the Champions League last night. Lots of passing tiers for United players. Bruno Fernandes even 60 passes. Diogo Dalot 62. Lindelof 89. Sofian Amrabat 94 from an inverted left-back position. Rafael Varane 112. Probably surprising amongst all that Casemiro didn't hit passing tier. He did hit tackle tier 1. Amrabat and Mount also in tackle tier 2.
They had 77% possession, didn't they?
A lot.
And got 0 points from that game.
Newcastle against Burnley. Trips, as said, passing tier and tackles. Yes, it was 4 tackles, Suj, so tier 1. So, yep, he got the assist and the tackle that got him into the tackle tier, if you will, in the same moment. Big tasty Jamal Lascelles, tier 1 passing. Fabian Schär, 71 passes. Dan Burn, only 38, if you were thinking out of the enabling. That's not. Pay the extra for Trips. That would be my assessment, Suj, on those Newcastle assets. If you want to go there, pay the extra for Trips. Shot tier for Isak. Elliot Anderson also got tier 1 shot tier. There were tackles for Gomeres and Gordon as well. Gordon's obviously suspended this week, so obviously you wouldn't have gone and bought him in any case. So nothing to speak of from Burnley. Thomas Soucek, James Ward-Prowse, Jared Bowen, all in shots here. Bowen is potentially on radar for me as well. Suj, that potential Sunday the 29th date when West Ham host Everton, really feels like the start of Everton's good run. I think we'll come back and talk about that nearer the time, whether he's worth it or not. But I think there should be a consciousness about him and James Ward-Prowse. But he's not, for me, going to hit the passing tiers in this ever, as opposed to he would have on occasion at Southampton.
Yeah, I wouldn't ever had James Ward-Prowse now for passing tiers.
56 passing against Sheffield United at the weekend. So that's the sort
and
of...
And that's a training game.
That's the sort of one you'd be really... Particularly with a comfortable lead, as well, you'd be kind of hopeful that he'd probably hit it there. Vinicius Souza hit tackle tier. For Manchester City, there were passes 107 for Ruben Diaz, 87 for Manuel Akanji. Fullbacks played quite higher. Mateo Kovacic and Matthias Nunes stood in, obviously, for Rodri. Kovacic, 48 passes in 65 minutes, suggests that he probably would have got to at least tier 1, probably tier 2. Matthias Nunes, 26 in the first half, suggests he probably would have got off just short, but with the amount City would have been putting pressure on, he may well also have hit it. Calvin Phillips, 22 passes in basically half hour at the end of the game, also running rate kind of towards tier 1. Alvarez, the only one in shot tier, a big fat duck for Erling Haaland. The Tottenham-Liverpool data obviously comes with the huge caveats of obviously the red cards. Tackle tier for McAllister, shot for Gakpo, 8 saves for Alisson. Vicario, as I said, either last week or the week before, he will make saves in most games. He will hit a save tier. That's why it does make him a consideration. 3 saves in this one. Pedro Porro, 6 tackles. Christian Romero, 94 passes. How many more do you think that was than Mickey van der Ven?
20.
41 more.
Oh, wow, okay, big difference.
Romero over Van der Ven by miles, guys, in this, if that's where you want to look. And that's purely because when Tottenham got high pressure moments like that, Romero goes into midfield. Van der Ven, because of his recovery pace, he just sits back. There was also big passing numbers for Ibisuma, which we shouldn't be surprised about given the circumstance. 114 passes, also hit tier 1 tackle. Pap Sarr, 64 passes. Even James Maddison has said 65 passes to go with shot tier. There was also shot tier for Richarlison, tier 2 for Heung-Min Son in his 69 minutes. It was pre-planned that he would be substituted early, irrespective of the result. I don't suppose anyone got anything in the Forest-Brentford game, although Sky Fantasy legend Christian Norgard did score the goal. There was passing tier for Pinnock Collins, new signing Dominguez, tackle tiers. Those who went on Ibrahim Sangare, probably quite disappointed with just the 1 tackle 1. As mentioned from the Fulham-Chelsea game, no passing tiers for the Chelsea players. Conor Gallagher was absolutely outstanding. 6 tackles, 1. Silva has got his tier 1 tackles. It was save tier for Robert Sanchez. It was passing for Ream and Diop. And in last night's Luton and Burnley game, the only player to hit any form of tier was the Marvellous Nakamaba. 5 tackles, 1. Thus disproving the theory that he would only do something when people didn't really care if he did or he didn't. So the Canberra owners were the winners last night. He did get booked as well, I should say. Actually, to be fair, Lyle Foster owners were the winners last night if they showed patience and kept him, because obviously he scored.
Yep, he did indeed. Sandra Burge got the assist, didn't he? Cool. That's a nice little rundown there, James, of all the kind of tier points and what have you. I'm sure we've got some questions in on Twitter.
Go on, Ed.
Connie FPL, I own share and I need to put these fires out in priority order. I want to make sure this is a Sky question, James.
It's probably not.
Doku and
No,
Bomo.
it's not. Stop it.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
As soon as I saw the word Doku, I thought, yeah, nah.
All right, go on. Let's go with it anyway.
Nah. No, we'll come back to it at the end. We'll do your FPL
No,
question.
do it. Let's just do it hypothetically. Go on.
Okay. Doku and Bomo and Botman. Well, Botman we know is definitely out. So surely you fix the injured player first.
Yeah, but Botman might be back for Palace.
Yeah.
And you might want that as a longer term. So you need information on that. The take is at the moment that there's every chance that he might be back for Crystal Palace. Doku, to be totally honest, that's on to, like, I would guess Diaby or Watkins, subject to what you got value in the Aston Villa game. Because you might as well hold it. I think probably Doku probably does start at Arsenal for the 0.1%. Have a look at his ownership, Suj. It's 0.1% the top 1,000 that have got him.
Who, Doku?
Yeah, have a look.
It's going to be nothing.
I couldn't even tell you the price, to be honest. I can't believe anyone in Sky would have gambled him. I don't know when the time would have been there.
1.5, mate.
Really?
Maybe it's the price, 8.5 people have.
Yeah, it's reasonable, maybe. Yeah, I'd look to move it on after the Brighton game into Villa. What was it? Botman and Cher. Cher you'd hold.
No, Botman and Mbomo.
Botman, and to be honest, the same. And Mbumo is, to be honest, his same period off. You could have come off this week, but unlike, say, Colwill, you'd miss Chelsea versus Arsenal. It does look with Mbumo, you think, oh, Burnley at home, wait one more. He's a penalty taker in any case, so obviously he can return in any game. So, yeah, he's probably moved a lot of it, and Mbumo and Doku after Saturday the 21st, probably the better bet. Say Grealish got injured again. Probably could even make a case to hold Doku a little bit longer, maybe, but I don't see that. That's not a Sky Fantasy asset until he could show proof that he was getting returns. Yeah, it was an FPL question. So
Streaky, if Saka is out for a while, is Saka to Son the obvious move? Or Watkins, if you have Maddison already in your team? I still think if you go to Sonny, you've got 3 captaincies out of him. If you include Luton, it's a big upside.
Yeah, I think...
Big upside.
I think in that situation, come back for Watkins, West Ham at home. It's a rare one where, to be honest, if I was sitting there with Saka right now, I'd be thinking, rule him out, please, so I can buy Son on Saturday. Yeah, so I think if he's going to... The consciousness with Sonny should be, and you should probably be aware of this now, let's just say Tottenham did get into a position where they were 3-0 up at half-time. He might come off, but then he's probably already done the damage.
That's also true. Streaky forgot the Beyer move from Enzo Fernandez yesterday. So should he do Enzo to Diaby on Sunday?
Again, I don't know if there's enough gain on that to force it in over the top of the international break, because the international break, you might pick up a different injury or something and deem that it's someone else that goes. I think that's close enough. Wait the extra week, I think.
Steve has had a great weekend, James. 2 of his players scored own goals. So that's going to be Ruben Diaz. And who scored the other own goal?
Probably Estupinan.
Okay. 1 didn't start, and another got himself suspended. Should I just give up?
No.
Like, the own goals, it's just one of them things,
I also
right?
reckon that's also probably an FPL question.
Nah.
It could
Do
be.
you reckon he wouldn't own a Stupinan? Is a Stupinan and Diaz who scored own
No,
goals?
Estupinan does have decent ownership in this.
Who else picked up? Who picked up a 5th yellow at the weekend?
Gordon.
I don't know if he'd own him, would he? Okay. Dark Invader SkyFF. We definitely know this is Sky James because he's used the word overhaul. Is Romero worth bringing in for Dunk? If I was to make the move, I would keep Romero till overhaul. I don't know if it is it?
No, let's just look at this logically. So this is one on the face of it. We'd go, right, Romero's at Luton, strong possibility of passing tier, possibility of a clean sheet, but I mean, Luton really do put the ball into the box that's going to make them a little bit of a threat against anyone in terms of scoring goals. Meanwhile, Dunk got Liverpool at home and Manchester City away. What do we think Dunk scores in those 2 games? Are we looking at them 2 games now, so no clean sheet?
Yeah, let's give him 6 points across the 2.
Is it passing tier in every game?
Let's give him 6 points over the 2.
Which includes some challenging ones.
Yeah.
Right. So we saying what? Let's say a tier 2 and a let's say he didn't hit it
just
against
one
Manchester
tier
City.
2.
1 tier 2, right? So we put him on what, 7 points? Then you need to think about goals conceded. 4, 5 maybe?
4.
4? 4 across the 2. Right. So if Christian Romero hits tier 1 and concedes, then he's got 5. Is it worth it?
It's not upside.
Of course it's not.
No.
Of course it's not. So if you want to make that move, then it's for the Monday night afterwards when obviously Tottenham play Fulham. But then the next Brighton game, which is obviously after Tottenham's double header, if you will, you want to go back to Dunk. So I think anyone who's still got Lewis Dunk at this point should hold. And that's part why he went for me, because I was looking at going, well, I can move Dunk after Man City away. And I'm going, hang on, I'm going to get him literally straight back. So I think anyone who's still on Lewis Dunk at this stage should just hold.
Okay. Right. Neil says, I have the money and the formation to go from Walker to Son on Saturday. Should I?
No.
Okay.
Same thing. You got Walker, got Arsenal away, Brighton at home. Son to Luton. The only case to make for that would be if you're generally looking at Saturday going, I've got no captaincy. I've got no Chelsea. Basically, if you've got no Chelsea defence and no Tottenham alternative, then yeah, I'd make a case for it because of the captaincy. But no.
And he wants to know your thoughts on Vicario as an option. Not bad. He's picked up save tiers.
Yeah, as I said,
right. He's decent.
I don't mind it. I'd probably prefer Romero if you wanted coverage of Tottenham there. But yeah, I don't mind it because the way we play, he's going to have to make saves in every game. He'll probably hit save tier on Saturday. I wouldn't be surprised at all. So that's putting him in the bracket when the clean sheets do come, it's 11s and 12s, right? And that's important.
David Martinez, when are we likely to get the remaining November fixtures confirmed, James? Do you want to just give us a update on that?
So what? Look, that's 25th of November is when that's scheduled to start. They've kind of said, right, minimum 5 weeks or so, didn't they? So the next game week starts on the 21st of October. So it absolutely should be before then. And it might be we just get to November, but I suspect, in all honesty, during this international break, I think we'll probably get at least partial December as well. At least partial. We might not get the actual Christmas bit, but I think we might get partial, perhaps up to the Carabao Cup quarterfinal midweek, maybe.
Cool. We've got 2 other themes, I would say, in amongst the questions. So rather than individually look at them, let's look at them as themes. The first is Jordan Beyer. A lot of people panicking as to what's happened, like Andy, Let's Talk, and a few others is kind of saying, what's happened? Should we just carry on and hold, or is it time to ditch?
I think so. Again, like, look, you the problem with this is you look at it and Chelsea, right? We smashed the passing tier at home to Manchester United, so there's a possibility. Brentford away, okay? You look at even Forest players at the weekend against Brentford, you got like Willy Bolly even on like 42. This is a low possession team, right? So subject to how it sets up, passing tier away to Brentford's possible. Away to Bournemouth is clean sheet potential as well, I would say. Home to Palace, look at the United numbers against Palace this week. Away to Arsenal, you're hoping he's got his 5th yellow card the week before. But then there's West Ham at home, Sheffield United at home, Wolves away, Brighton away, Everton at home, Fulham away, and then it finishes right at the end with Liverpool Villa. The thing is, it's not just Beyer, right? It's a consideration of facilitator to everything else, similar to Marvellous Nakamaba. Now think of it this way. The difference between Beyer and Nakamaba, what's the difference between the two of them?
In price or in ownership?
Just for the game. If you own one versus the other. Nakamaba owner should hold as well, by the way, at the moment. He's doing fine.
Bayer's got better fixtures?
No, it's what you can have at the top end, right?
Oh, you can formation-wise?
You can start doing the things that we looked at the start, going, this is a problem. I want to go Rodri, I want to go Saka, I want to go Son. 2 others in there. Maybe it's Bowen and Diaby, for example, right? That is much easier with Beyer than is obviously not possible with Nakamaba. I missed Mo Salah. I fucking missed out, didn't I? So you could have, it's expensive, but you can look more at, say, maybe even Haaland, Watkins up front and something like Salah, Son, Saka, Rodri, and maybe like Bissouma, who has got the passing tier and the odd potential of attacking return on top of Nakamaba is just the tackle tiers, right? So it adds that. So it's not just about Beyer, it's about everything else. And if he just sits there as shite and it's a passing tier every 2 or 3 and there's the occasional clean sheet, because we should remember that, right? I went into last night thinking, I want him to get me 10, 5 times 2. It was 5 minutes away from getting me 14. So let's be conscious about that. Let's have a consciousness as well, I think, in saying that over the last 3 or 4 games, the nonsense that we saw against Tottenham has stopped. And they're getting slowly better defensively, I think. And across that period, all the way there, I look at them home games like Palace, West Ham, Sheffield United, Everton, I think particularly. I look at them and think he really could hit passing tier in all of them, and there might be some clean sheets in there as well. So at the moment, for me, it would be a stick. Also, the consciousness about Tuesday the 5th, they may play Wolves away as a single game day. It can still happen. It needs Brentford, Luton and Newcastle, Manchester United basically to be the games on the Sunday beforehand. don't for a second think Sky won't pick Brentford and Luton to stitch Amazon up. They may well do that. There is an alternative that also means Everton Newcastle could be a single game day on that evening.
And the last point of the show, James, Jared Bowen. I'm going to start.
Go on.
I'm starting to warm to Jared Bowen over James Ward-Prowse. Definitely in this format and actually possibly probably in FPL as well. I was tinkering around with my wild card yesterday and I actually had enough money to get Bowen in over James Ward-Prowse. And I like the look of potentially Jared Bowen. So a lot of people looking at that Villa single game day and maybe moving soon for Jared Bowen. Any love for him or any thoughts about when you might want to get him in as an asset?
Yeah, I mean, the obvious other thing with West Ham Villa is obviously it is the only game day that day. So I think preference, because of Villa's fixtures afterwards as well, would be to get a Villa player. But if you think, no, I don't want any of it, say we get there and Watkins and Diaby's both injured, I'm buying Jared Bowen. Yeah, definitely. But I'd look more at the following one, the Sunday the 29th, Everton. And there should be a consciousness, like I said, those who haven't got a dunk may want to go back there. That's Rodri's return and kind of entry point as well, the Manchester derby. There's also another entry point for Liverpool there. That's entry point for West Ham. There's a few. That particular Sunday 29th, I think there'd be a few moves potentially made on that particular day. So that's the one. There should also be consciousness with Bowen is that if you miss it, you can come back. So fast forward 2 weekends. You've got Nottingham Forest at home on a Sunday, so you can come back to it if you're not sure, for example. So, yeah, he's very much on radar. What price is he, Suj, Jared Bowen?
Jared Bowen, I had him up a second ago, James. And you put me on...
It's 9-something.
Spots. Let me put him up for you right now. Monsieur Le Bowen has scored 54 points. He's not even 9, mate. 8-8.
Yeah, it's good.
There we go.
It's good.
Cool. Thank you so much for sending in your questions on x.com. We are wrapping up for this. If you enjoy playing Sky Fantasy Football, you want access to James's planner, as well as a very active community on Slack of Sky Fantasy Football managers, then you might want to support the show there. Patreon.com/PlanetFPL. We'd love to have you as part of the community. Other than that, tomorrow, Clash of the Correspondents, James, you have?
Yes, Wolves versus Villa with Bradley Parker and Lee Jackson tomorrow.
And on Friday, all of the usual shows, getting ready for the weekend. In the meantime, hit like and subscribe wherever you're watching if you've enjoyed the show. And we'll be back here tomorrow. Stay safe. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Play it your way. Cue music, please, man-child.